Howdy, it's time to pop a top on another episode of the Texas Bucket List. My name is Shane McAuliffe, and if you are under the impression I'm talking about an ice cold Texas beer, you are correct. You see, there are tons of breweries across the Lone Star State, but in the small town of Rowena, there is a brewery that has to deal with a constant reminder of the town's prohibition past. In the desolate Runnels County, just southwest of the county seat of Ballinger, you'll find the really small town of Rowena, surrounded by cotton fields and farmland. This sleepy, unincorporated collection of around 400 folks doesn't have a whole lot going on in or around it. But if you take a stroll down Main Street, you'll find the most popular place to hang out, after the church of course, the Horny Brewing Company.
For the longest time we had a liquor store and that was about it.
It's very fitting to have a great brewery here in this town and kind of holding on to that culture that founded it.
We really liked the way he brought back a little community in here again.
I got a great job, man. I love it.
Michael McNeil is a fellow Irishman who opened up the Horny Toad back in 2012. I tell you what, you can never trust two micks behind a bar, and here we are.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
What made you come to Rowena and look for a spot here?
A woman. My wife was born and raised in Rowena.
Rowena's claim to fame is being the birthplace of Bonnie Parker.
Yeah, Bonnie, Clyde, and Blanche are my fermenters.
Nice. It's also home to the last bank Doc Newton ever robbed in 1968. Other than that, there's really not a lot happening here. So when Mike decided to open up a brewery, there were a couple folks who thought this frog would never turn into a prince.
It's a crazy thing to do. I mean, everyone thought I was nuts to open a brewery in Rowena, Texas. Maybe I was nuts, I don't know. I had a friend at the time say, you know, Mike, if you build it, they will come.
Have they come?
And oh yeah.
Mike is an Army veteran, having served for 13 years. He was first stationed in Germany, and that started his obsession with grain, hops, yeast, and water.
I didn't realize there was different kinds of beer until I went to Germany, got stationed in Germany. Every town in Germany has their own brewery, and there's like several styles that they drink over there. Where, you know, before I went to Germany, it was, it was just the fizzy yellow water, you know.
Later in his career, he went to Iraq.
Did you learn anything about beer in Iraq?
We weren't allowed to drink beer in Iraq.
Despite wrapping up his military service, Mike went off to Afghanistan for one last hurrah.
So I was sent to Iraq by the military, and then I voluntarily went to Afghanistan afterwards. And it's kind of I don't know, it's hard to explain. A lot of combat vets would get it, you know, you kind of miss it, but you don't. But anyway, that's where they paid me pretty good to stay over there like a year and a half, and then that's where the money for this came from, really.
We're really, really excited that Mike did this, and he has become, I think, pretty close to a pretty good brewmaster.
Tony Molter grew up in this German-Czech community and remembers coming to this old service station as a boy.
There was a lot of old guys here, and they would be just hanging out. Kind of an old country store thing.
Not much has changed.
It seems maybe not, but now we hang out for a little different reason here.
What truly makes the Horny Toad Brewing Company unique is a small monument that sits right out front of its facade.
I guess the way the story goes, in 1911, Runnels County voted itself dry, much to the chagrin of the population of Rowena, which was, you know, heavily German and Czech. So in protest, they buried a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of beer and erected a headstone that said, "Here lies our liberty."
Nice.
It didn't take long before someone dug it up.
Fittingly enough, now you can enjoy a tasty Texas beer while reminiscing about the history of Prohibition in the shadows of that historical marker.
It's amazing to me because when did national prohibition start? 1920?
I don't know.
What were they thinking doing it a decade before?
I have no idea.
It's kind of like a full circle moment, you know? We went from Prohibition to now having this awesome brewery right here in our town.
We are generally a German community and a Czech, So, you know, a little beer was always kind of in the mix, so to speak.
To be able to have that culture, the people that kind of founded this town, and to celebrate that with the brewery here right across from that memorial is a really good homage to the people that have, you know, that are from here, and it being a strong beer drinking community is nice to have the ability for them to celebrate that.
Getting a tasty Texas beverage is only part of the experience here at the Horny Toad Brewing Company. It's also a history lesson and a chance to talk with a veteran who's seen a few things in his day. But at the end of it, he loves his beer.
It's a great gig if you can get it.
I know what you mean.
There's nothing like home, especially Rowena. It's its own kind of unique, interesting little town that it really does mean this, like, have a special place in my heart.